To the team and gathering your data on what's been happening for the year, assuming that this is an annual review, because other IEPs are like initials or the kid transfers in. That's a little bit different, but it's still the same, where you initiate first your data and your communication with your team, and you already should have regular ongoing support and communication with your team, so nothing should be a surprise. So where we're going is kind of just formalized in it. But I start with drafting some ideas based on the information my team gives me, and then I share that information with my team and ask them if they agree or don't agree, and create a draft plan. And I send it out at least 3 days before. District policy is 3 days, but I try to do a little more if I can, especially if it's a weekend coming up, so people have plenty of time to write comments or input, so that when we're in the team meeting there's already a background and we can add to it or subtract whatever needs to happen, because again, it is a team process. I always front load first with calling my parents, because I do anyway weekly, but I front load and call them and tell them, hey, this is coming up, be thinking about what you want to add in the IEP. Here's, the parent input part means your input on what your your child's strengths are, where you think they're successful. That goes in there so other people know something about your child, because no one knows them better than you. And so it's all front loaded like that. And then when I start to write it, I certainly do look at what the data tells me and where they were last time. Their previous progress report is for their goals are completed. I look at their accommodations. I already know and have adjusted what needs to change or doesn't, and then I'm making it more formal, including what kind of tests they take. And then I'm drafting out, like, from my notes of my information from my staff, like what percentages on their goals and what kinds of supports they needed and why, and then I use that around social communication goals, or my primary focus. So I adapt the Common Core state standards for listening and speaking that is the focus for my IEPs. And primarily in social communication, it's listening and speaking, and then the academic pieces some kids have and some kids don't, but it's all around social communication for success in every subject. So then after I draft the IEP and I write it up, I send it for review to colleagues that I work with at the school and ask them if this is what we were kind of talking about, and then also for any errors or anything that I did. And then I send it to the parents. Like I said, try to do at least 3 days, but 4 if I can, so they have plenty of time. And then the district requires us to have everybody attend, and general education teachers cannot leave early from a meeting. And so the general education teacher is the classroom teacher, myself, and anybody who's on services, so speech and language pathologists. All of our kids have speech and language, so speech and language pathologists, although they are allowed to do an excuse and call the parent if they only work certain days. So they are allowed, but not the general education teacher, and certainly not special ed teacher. And then we have a representative from the district, which is usually our principal, associate principal, or our school psychologist, who is representative release of services. So they represent that this is meeting the requirements of the district and the state, and because they do the process and understand it very well. So then at the meeting, first thing I always do is ask parents, are there any burning questions or concerns, so we get that right off. Is something bothering them or something on their mind? Usually won't always know that ahead of time, but about the IEP in particular. And so that everyone's focused on what we're doing. And then we do introductions if necessary. We all share a small part of like an overview of what we kind of summarize our parts. We don't go through the IEP verbatim because that would take hours, and everybody's pre-read it. So then we, after we do that, we make adjustments or changes, whatever we feel is appropriate, and then I formally get that initialed by the parents if I change things, especially like reduce, well, anything. I get it initialed and then I initial it. And then I make copies, and I put that initial copy right with the updated one from the computer printout, so that when it goes to special services, it shows that it was a working document, because by law, IEPs are supposed to be in process working documents and not finished documents at the IEP meetings. And it's not about doing the IEP first. That's not what we're doing. What we're doing is making sure we're all thinking on the same page, so we're not starting fresh at a meeting where it goes 2 hours when it only needs to go 40 minutes, or 30 minutes, depending on how many services the kids have. And then it's a little different if you have reevaluation in it too. We usually do that and the IEP at the same time, which can be kind of trying, cart before the horse kind of thing. So I usually make phone calls on that. But anyway, the IEP then is given to everyone in the team, and like I said, especially the accommodations I go over with everybody, but the finished product is given, and then I inform everybody, including the parents, of the rights, and that they don't have to, when they sign, they don't have to agree. If they don't have to sign, nobody's forcing them. And then I give them their safety rights, and I tell them that they have 3 days to make any changes before I lock it out, and then we have to do a formal meeting to change anything. So let's refresh what we've discussed today, and then within, I tell them when, like Friday, let me know if you want any changes. Otherwise, I have to do a formal change, where I go into the and call a meeting. And so then the team takes a copy of the IEP. I make sure that the accommodations and services get started after that 3-day period. So there's 3 days, and then the new IEP starts. So when that IEP starts, then I switch it out, and I'm responsible for helping the team, staff know what to facilitate and how, and what are the changes in accommodations and services and blah, 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 and we start a new year. So that's pretty much, oh, and do I need to say any more about how I do the goals?
Say who you are and what your position is.
Oh, yeah. So I'm Karen Butcher, and I'm a social communication teacher at York Elementary School, and I'm 21 years in the job. I did 10 at York, and I've done over 11 at Sifton, and I did most of that in learning support and a little bit of it in SCIP. So they recruited me to the social program. So I've had experience with a lot of different disabilities. So that's helped me with my IEPs too, because I can see many different kids' needs and relate it to everything, kind of thing. So anyway, but the Common Core does play a big role, but we are support, not supplant. So I am support staff.
Excellent. Thank you.